What if your biggest breakthroughs aren't hidden in more effort, but in rewiring the way you think? This audiobook is your blueprint to unshackling old patterns, upgrading your mindset, and finally becoming who you were meant to be. Your future is waiting. Press play. Introduction. Let me ask you a question, and don't just hear it, feel it. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you dream about is the way your brain has been trained to think? Not your potential, not your intelligence, not your ambition, but the invisible code your mind has been running in the background, quietly, persistently, and without permission. Now ask yourself, what if you could rewire that code? Because here's the brutal truth most people never face. We don't live at the level of our desires. We live at the level of our patterns. And unless we change those patterns, we'll keep reliving the same reality, just with different faces, jobs, cities, or goals. That's the loop no one talks about. You set a new goal, find a spark, maybe even see progress, but somehow you sabotage it. You freeze, you overthink, you go quiet, and then you tell yourself, maybe I'm not cut out for this. You're cut out for more. You just need to learn how to upgrade the operating system your success runs on. This isn't another self-help hype session where I pump you full of inspiration and leave you lost. This is a reboot, a full body, full brain, full soul reset of the way you think, feel, and act. And it starts with understanding what it means to truly rewire your mind. Rewiring means identifying the deep-rooted beliefs you didn't even choose, challenging the stories that shaped you but no longer serve you, and consciously replacing them with thought patterns that are designed to create expansion instead of fear. It means no longer reacting out of default and finally choosing with intention. It means no more waiting for the perfect moment, the right time, or permission. It means becoming the version of yourself that doesn't just dream about success, but actually embodies it. Here's why this matters. Mindset isn't just one piece of the puzzle. It's the whole damn picture. It's not just part of your success. It's the foundation everything else is built on. You can have all the strategies, tools, vision boards, and hustle. But if your mind is wired for survival instead of growth, for doubt instead of self-trust, for familiarity over freedom, you will sabotage your success every single time. It won't matter how hard you try, because your subconscious is more powerful than your willpower. And until you train it to work with you, not against you, you'll keep circling the same mountain and calling it fate. In this audiobook, we're not here to just talk about mindset like it's some vague, fluffy concept. We're going to make it real. You'll learn how your brain forms beliefs, how your nervous system responds to fear, how your identity gets shaped by your past, and more importantly, how to break free from all of it. You'll get raw truths, actionable tools, and step-by-step practices you can actually use, not just in the good times, but especially when you're tired, triggered, and ready to give up. This is real talk for real people who are ready for real change. So, if you're tired of surface-level fixes, if you're done reading one more Motivation Monday post that leaves you feeling more broken than before, if you're ready to stop chasing potential and start activating it, this is your invitation. This is not self-help as usual. This is a mindset revolution, a neural upgrade, a call to burn the blueprint of who you were told to be and build the one you were born to become. Are you ready? Good. Because the next version of you isn't waiting. It's already inside you, wired and ready. You just have to flip the switch. Chapter 1. Your brain on autopilot? The brain's default mode, efficiency over growth. We've all had that moment when we wake up, get out of bed, and drift into the motions of the day with little conscious thought. From brushing your teeth, to checking your phone, to driving to work, these tasks are performed almost automatically. without any significant mental effort. Have you ever noticed that you can get through a day and barely remember some of the routine things you've done? It's as though you were operating on autopilot. You didn't actively decide to perform each task, yet you did it, without thinking much about it. You probably didn't stop to ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's the purpose of this task? You simply did it because your brain is wired for efficiency, not intentional, purposeful growth. The human brain, designed for survival, doesn't like to waste energy. It thrives on routine and predictability, which is why autopilot mode becomes the default. Imagine this. Your brain has thousands of decisions to make each day, and if it were to consciously think through every little task, every choice, every move, it would burn through an enormous amount of energy. So instead of thinking about every action, your brain simplifies things by automating them. This autopilot mode isn't inherently bad. It's useful for tasks that require little to no conscious thought. It's efficient, it's practical, but it's also limiting. When it comes to growth, transformation, and success, autopilot can be the very thing that holds you back. Autopilot keeps you in the comfort zone. It keeps you stuck in a loop of repetitive habits that offer the illusion of stability, but prevent you from reaching the next level of success. When you're stuck on autopilot, you're not making conscious decisions to move forward. You're not intentionally designing your life, your career, or your mindset. You're simply reacting to the world around you, rather than actively shaping it. And here lies the fundamental issue with living on autopilot. It is rooted in the past. Every decision your brain makes is based on your previous experiences, your previous beliefs, and your previously established habits. It's not thinking about the future. It's stuck in the patterns of the past, and those patterns are often outdated, limiting, and self-sabotaging. Your brain's programming, a product of your past. The brain, from an evolutionary perspective, is programmed to seek comfort and avoid pain. This is not inherently negative. It's a survival mechanism that has helped us thrive as a species. However, in the modern world, this survival instinct often works against us. It encourages us to stick with what we know, even if what we know isn't serving us anymore. From a young age, our minds are shaped by the world around us. Our families, schools, societies, and personal experiences all mold the way we think about ourselves, others, and the world. For instance, think about the messages you've received throughout your life. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard to succeed. Life isn't fair. These are just a few of the countless beliefs we pick up over time. Some of these messages were consciously taught to you, but others were absorbed passively. From the way your parents responded to challenges to the way you were rewarded or punished, your brain took it all in and began forming the foundation of your beliefs, habits, and reactions. These ingrained beliefs are often so deeply embedded in our subconscious that we don't even realize they're influencing us. In fact, most of your daily decisions are based on the programming your brain received in the past. Every time you make a choice, your brain pulls from these stored beliefs and patterns to decide what to do next. Unfortunately, many of these beliefs are limiting. They were useful when they were formed, but they may no longer serve your current goals, desires, or potential. If you've ever found yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "success is for other people, not me," you're dealing with outdated programming that was likely formed from experiences or messages you received long ago. And it's this outdated programming that keeps you locked in a cycle of autopilot living. Your brain is merely reacting to what it already knows. It doesn't know how to break free from the cycle, and it doesn't automatically seek out new information or behaviors unless you make a conscious decision to change. This is where the power of rewiring your mind comes in. You have the ability to change the programming that's limiting you. But first, you need to recognize that you are on autopilot, recognizing the autopilot moments. The first step in breaking free from the autopilot mode is awareness. You cannot change something you don't acknowledge, and this is where most people get stuck. The fact that you're reading this book means you're already taking the first step toward shifting your mindset. So, how can you recognize when your brain is on autopilot? Start by paying attention to your daily routines. Think about the little things you do without even thinking about them. For example, how do you respond when something goes wrong at work or in your personal life? Do you immediately react with frustrations or impatience? Do you default to old behaviors even though you know they don't serve you anymore? These are classic signs of autopilot at work. Think about the way you talk to yourself. Do you hear a voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough or that you'll never be successful? This is often a result of years of subconscious programming that you've absorbed without realizing it. It's the inner critic, your brain's default way of protecting you from potential failure or rejection. But here's the truth. That inner critic is not your ally. It's simply a voice that has been shaped by your past experiences. It doesn't know what you're capable of today, and it doesn't understand the person you're becoming. To start rewiring your mind, you need to notice these moments when your brain is acting on default. When you catch yourself in autopilot mode, whether it's a negative thought, an automatic response to stress, or a decision you didn't even think about, pause. That's the moment you have the power to shift your mindset. The cost of staying on autopilot. You may be wondering, what's the big deal? Autopilot has helped me get through life so far, hasn't it? Sure, autopilot may have helped you survive up until this point, but the cost of staying on autopilot is immense. By staying stuck in these repetitive, unconscious patterns, you're missing out on the opportunity to create something extraordinary for yourself. Your growth, your success, and your happiness lie just beyond your comfort zone, outside the familiar routines and habits you've been relying on for so long. When you stay on autopilot, you're settling for the same results over and over again. You're not pushing yourself to be better. You're not challenging yourself to evolve. You're not breaking free from the limits of your past. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck in autopilot mode. You can choose to take control. Rewiring your brain doesn't mean rejecting everything you've learned. It doesn't mean you have to discard your past or your values. It simply means that you're going to become more intentional. You're going to begin consciously making decisions that align with your future, not your past. The power of conscious choice. Rewiring your brain begins with one fundamental shift, moving from unconscious, habitual actions to conscious, intentional choices. Every time you notice your brain slipping into autopilot, you have the opportunity to make a different choice. You can decide to pause, breathe, and reflect before reacting. You can choose to challenge those old beliefs that are no longer serving you. And you can begin to consciously create new habits that align with the person you want to become. The first step to rewiring your brain is the realization that you're not stuck. You are not bound by your past programming. You have the power to change your thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. It's not easy, and it won't happen overnight. But with awareness and a commitment to change, you can begin to break free from the patterns of autopilot living. The key is to take back control, take ownership of your decisions, and take responsibility for the way you think, feel, and act. This is the foundation of rewiring your mindset, and it's the first step toward achieving the success you truly deserve. Chapter 2. Mindset versus Mechanics. The myth of success. It's not just about strategy. There's a common misconception that success is simply about mastering the mechanics, the strategies, the tactics, the how-to steps that promise to lead us to victory. We've all seen them. The 10-step guides, the 7-figure business blueprints, the formulas for getting rich quick, or the secret tricks to becoming a productivity machine. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that success is simply a matter of having the right strategy and applying it correctly. If you just know the right steps to take, you'll get the results you want, right? But here's the harsh truth that most people miss. Strategies are meaningless if your mindset isn't aligned with them. A fantastic blueprint or strategy can be utterly useless if you don't have the right mental foundation to support it. You see, mechanics are essential, but they are only half of the equation. It's your mindset that makes the difference. It's your beliefs, your thoughts, your mental framework that determines how well you implement those mechanics. Without a strong, growth-oriented mindset, the best strategies in the world will be powerless against your limiting beliefs, your inner fears, and your subconscious resistance. If you want to break through to the next level of success, you need to understand that success isn't just about applying the right tactics. It's about becoming the person who can execute those tactics effectively. The strategies will only work if you have the right mindset to make them work. Think about it for a moment. Two people may use the exact same strategy, whether it's for starting a business, improving their health, or even mastering a skill. Yet, one person achieves outstanding results and the other struggles or fails. Why? The difference isn't the strategy, it's the mindset. One person's mindset is built on self-belief, resilience, and confidence. They view challenges as opportunities to grow, and they embrace setbacks as part of the journey. The other person, however, may have doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs that sabotage their efforts. They may quit when things get tough or remain stuck because they don't believe they deserve success. Mindset is the key to unlocking the full potential of any strategy. Without it, you may find yourself perpetually stuck, even when you have the right mechanics in place. The mechanics of success. A perfect system doesn't exist. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion that there is one perfect system to follow. We see people online boasting about their proven methods or hear success stories about how someone turned their life around by following a specific set of rules. It's easy to think that if you just follow the same steps, you'll have the same success. But here's the thing. There's no one-size-fits-all strategy. Success is messy. It's not linear. And the mechanics of success are often less important than you think. Of course, mechanics, skills, strategies, actions matter, but they are not the entire picture. People love checklists because they provide a sense of control. They love formulas because they promise a straightforward path to success. But life, success, and personal growth aren't like that. There is no magic bullet, no guaranteed step-by-step system that works for everyone. The reason is simple. We are all individuals. Our backgrounds, experiences, resources, and challenges are unique to us. What works for one person might not work for another. The same strategy that propels one person to success might be completely ineffective for someone else. The world of success is messy, unpredictable, and dynamic. The key to navigating that chaos is to understand that success isn't about following the perfect formula. It's about adapting the mechanics to your unique situation and mindset. Success is about finding what works for you, not following someone else's path blindly. Your mindset will allow you to make the right adjustments to strategies as you move forward. When things don't go according to plan, it's your mindset that will help you stay motivated and persistent. If you rely solely on the mechanics, you'll be constantly searching for the next big thing, hoping that it will be the one to fix everything. But real success comes from understanding that you are the variable that makes the difference. Your mindset allows you to take mechanics and adapt them to your own life, shaping them in a way that makes them work for you. Without that ability, even the best strategies will fail. Mindset, the amplifier of action. Now let's talk about how mindset acts as an amplifier. Imagine you're holding a guitar in your hands. The mechanics, the chords, the technique, the rhythm are important. But the amplifier is what makes the sound loud and clear. Without the amplifier, the music would be quiet and unimpressive. In the same way, your mindset acts as the amplifier for your actions. A positive, growth-oriented mindset amplifies your efforts, turning even small actions into powerful results. On the other hand, a negative or self-limiting mindset dampens your actions, making even the best mechanics seem ineffective. Have you ever noticed that when you're in a bad mood or feeling down, nothing seems to go right? You might have the same skills, the same knowledge, and the same strategies as when you were in a great mood, but everything feels harder. You procrastinate, you make mistakes, you struggle to stay focused. That's the power of mindset at work. It's amplifying your results, whether they're positive or negative. The difference between success and failure often lies in how you approach challenges and how you think about the obstacles in your path. With a growth mindset, you see challenges as opportunities to learn. You see failure as a stepping stone, not a sign to quit. Your mindset can take the same mechanics that would otherwise result in frustration and turn them into a platform for success. It's not about having the perfect strategy or following the latest trends. It's about having the right mental framework to take action, learn from setbacks, and keep moving forward even when things don't go as planned. Case studies. 2 people, same skills, different outcomes. Let's look at a couple of real-life examples to illustrate the power of mindset versus mechanics. Imagine 2 people, both starting a business. They both have the same technical skills. They both have access to the same resources. They both know exactly what they need to do to get their business off the ground. But one person's business fails, while the other's succeeds. Why? It's not because one person had a better strategy or more resources. It's because one person had a mindset that allowed them to push through challenges, adapt to new situations, and keep going when things got tough. The other person, despite having the same resources, was plagued by self-doubt, fear of failure, and a fixed mindset that made them give up when things didn't go according to plan. The person with the success mindset didn't quit when things got hard. They adjusted their approach, learned from their mistakes, and persevered. They used their setbacks as fuel to keep moving forward. They had the right mindset to amplify their actions and adapt their strategies along the way. The person with the fixed mindset, on the other hand, saw setbacks as evidence that they weren't good enough. They didn't believe they could change, so they gave up. This is a clear demonstration of how mindset acts as the difference maker, even when the mechanics are the same. Your mindset doesn't just impact your attitude, it impacts your results. Building a success-oriented mindset. So, how do you develop this success-oriented mindset? It starts with understanding that your beliefs shape your actions. If you believe you are capable of learning, growing, and adapting, you will approach challenges differently than someone who believes that they're stuck the way they are. Building a growth mindset means believing that your abilities aren't fixed. It means embracing failure as part of the learning process. It means understanding that success isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them and continuing to move forward. A success-oriented mindset is built on the foundation of self-belief and resilience. When you believe in yourself, you're willing to take risks and make mistakes because you know that those mistakes are simply part of the journey. You understand that success is a process, not a destination. It's about embracing the ups and downs, knowing that each step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to achieving your goals. Mindset is the key to unlocking your potential. At the end of the day, mindset is the secret sauce that makes everything work. Mechanics can get you only so far. Strategies can take you only so far. But it's your mindset that will keep you going when things get tough. It's your mindset that will turn obstacles into opportunities and failures into stepping stones. And it's your mindset that will allow you to take action, learn from your experiences, and keep moving forward. So, ask yourself, what is the story you're telling yourself? Is it a story of possibility and growth? Or is it a story of limitation and fear? You have the power to rewrite that story, starting right now. The first step is recognizing that success isn't just about following the perfect formula. It's about creating the right mindset, one that amplifies your actions, adapts to challenges, and allows you to step into your full potential. Chapter 3: The Origins of Your Programming. The foundation of your beliefs: childhood, culture, and conditioning. From the moment we're born, we start absorbing information, forming beliefs, and picking up patterns about the world around us. The people we interact with, the stories we hear, the environment we grow up in, these all play a massive role in shaping who we become. And yet, most of us go through life without fully understanding the profound impact these early influences have on our thinking, behavior, and decision-making. We've all heard the saying, "You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with." But let's take that one step further. You are also the sum of the culture, environment, and experiences that have shaped you from the very beginning. This includes the messages you received as a child, whether they were direct or subtle, about what is possible for you, what you deserve, and what you can achieve, from the way your parents spoke to you, to the beliefs you picked up from your community and society. Everything influences the person you are today. These early programming experiences form the foundation for how you view the world, how you respond to challenges, and what you believe is possible for your future. Your belief system, the lens through which you see life, is a product of years of subtle and not so subtle conditioning. And most of this conditioning happened before you even knew what was going on. Think back to your childhood. What did you hear about money, success, love, and failure? Was it that money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard to make something of yourself? Were you told that you'd never be good enough, or perhaps that you could do anything you set your mind to? The messages you internalized growing up formed the bedrock of your current mindset. Many of us carry these beliefs forward unconsciously into adulthood, as if they're the gospel truth, and as a result, they shape everything from how we approach opportunities to how we respond to failure. If you grew up in an environment that was focused on scarcity, you might carry an unconscious belief that success is hard to achieve, or that money is something that has to be earned through struggle. If your family was full of achievers who reinforced the idea that success was tied to hard work and determination, you may believe that success only comes through relentless effort, and you may also believe that if you're not constantly busy, you're somehow failing. All of these beliefs, whether limiting or empowering, become hardwired into your mind and become the baseline from which you operate in your adult life. The thing is, most of us aren't aware of the powerful programming that took place in our formative years. And without awareness, we can't change these beliefs. The first step in rewiring your mind for success is understanding where these beliefs came from and how they still influence your actions today. The invisible rules you didn't know you were following. As we grow older, we begin to form our own beliefs based on our life experiences. But these beliefs don't appear out of nowhere. They are rooted in the invisible rules that were set for us when we were young. These rules are often unconscious and unspoken, passed down through generations or reinforced by society. Think of these invisible rules as the cultural and familial operating systems that you've unknowingly installed in your mind. These rules shape how you view success, failure, relationships, and your place in the world. They are like hidden scripts running in the background, constantly guiding your thoughts and decisions. They tell you whether or not you're worthy of success, love, or happiness. And unfortunately, most of the time, they were programmed long before you had the ability to question them. For example, how many of you grew up believing that you have to work hard to deserve success? That if something comes too easily, it's not really worth it? Or perhaps you were taught that failure is something to be avoided at all costs, that it's a reflection of your inadequacy or lack of effort. These invisible rules often carry emotional weight. they don't just live in your thoughts, they live in your emotional system too. For some people, these rules show up as guilt or shame when they take time for themselves or when they make a mistake. For others, the rules are more about success and achievement, constantly measuring your worth by how much you can accomplish. The problem is that many of these rules no longer serve you, and in fact, they may be holding you back from achieving the success and happiness you desire. But because they are deeply ingrained in your subconscious, it can be incredibly difficult to recognize them, let alone challenge or change them. The conditioning that shapes your identity. Your identity, the way you see yourself in the world, is built upon years of conditioning. The messages you received in childhood, the experiences you had, and the culture you grew up in all contribute to shaping your sense of self. This identity becomes the lens through which you interpret everything in life. For example, if you were constantly told that you were lazy or not good enough, you might have internalized that as part of your identity. You might have developed a belief that success is something that other people can achieve, but not you. If you were told that you needed to be perfect in order to be loved or accepted, you might carry that belief into adulthood, constantly striving for perfection and feeling unworthy of success unless everything is flawless. This sense of identity, these beliefs about who you are and what you deserve, become the foundation upon which you build your life. Your identity shapes how you make decisions, how you take risks, and how you react to setbacks. If you identify as someone who is lazy or unmotivated, you will unconsciously avoid opportunities that challenge you to grow. If you identify as someone who is successful and capable, you will step confidently into opportunities, knowing that you have what it takes to succeed. The key here is understanding that your identity is not fixed. It is not a permanent, unchangeable truth. Your identity is shaped by your beliefs and experiences, and you have the power to reshape it. If your current identity doesn't align with the success you want to achieve, then it's time to reprogram it. And that starts with understanding where it came from and how it's been shaped over the years. Exercise. Uncover the stories driving your decisions. In order to rewire your mindset and create lasting success, you need to first uncover the stories that you've been telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. These stories are often so deeply embedded in your subconscious that you don't even realize they're there, but they are shaping your decisions and your behavior every single day. Take a moment and reflect on the following questions. What are the beliefs you hold about yourself that might be limiting your success? Are there patterns in your life that seem to repeat, no matter how hard you try to change them? Do you find yourself avoiding certain actions or opportunities because of fear, doubt, or past failures? Once you have a sense of the stories you've been telling yourself, you can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, are these beliefs true? Do they still serve me? And what would be possible if I let them go? Often, the beliefs that hold us back are rooted in past experiences or teachings that no longer apply to our lives. By rewriting these stories, you can break free from the limitations they impose on you. This exercise is the first step in freeing yourself from old conditioning and creating new, empowering beliefs that will propel you toward the success you desire. Rewriting your story. The power of awareness. The power of awareness cannot be overstated. Once you recognize the beliefs, conditioning, and stories that have been running the show in your life, you can begin the process of rewriting them. The first step is simply acknowledging what's there. Without this awareness, change is impossible. By identifying the stories you've been telling yourself and the beliefs that have been holding you back, you are taking control of your narrative. You are no longer at the mercy of unconscious programming. From here, you can begin to consciously choose new beliefs, beliefs that empower you, rather than limit you. This doesn't mean you have to completely erase the old beliefs or ignore your past. Your past is a part of you. But you can choose to rewrite the narrative, choosing new stories that serve your highest good and align with the future you want to create. You are the author of your story, and it's never too late to write a new chapter. The first step is simply to become aware of the stories you've been following, and then decide if those stories are still true for you. If they're not, it's time to change them. Chapter 4. Recognizing the Inner Critic. The inner critic, a voice that keeps you safe, but stuck. We all have that voice in our heads, the one that whispers doubt when we're about to take action, the one that convinces us that we're not enough, not worthy, or that our dreams are out of reach. This voice is the inner critic, and its primary job is to protect us. But the protection it offers isn't always the kind we need. In fact, much of the time, the inner critic is less about keeping us safe from harm and more about keeping us stuck in our comfort zones. The inner critic operates under the belief that if we stay where we are, if we avoid risk and remain within the boundaries of what we know, we will somehow be safer. However, this idea of safety is a mirage. The inner critic's voice convinces us that failure is to be feared above all else. It warns us that stepping out of line could lead to embarrassment, rejection, or failure. But what it doesn't tell us is that failure is an essential part of success. Failure is a lesson, not a disaster. The inner critic doesn't want you to make mistakes because it sees mistakes as a threat to your safety and self-worth. But what you have to realize is that your growth lies just beyond that voice. It's only when you face your fears and take action, in spite of the critic's warnings, that you will move closer to the success you desire. Recognizing this truth is the first step in reclaiming control over the voice that's been holding you back. Where the inner critic comes from. Understanding its origins. To understand how to deal with the inner critic, you first have to understand where it comes from. This voice didn't appear randomly. It was cultivated over time, shaped by your experiences and your environment. The inner critic is often the result of years of conditioning, starting from your early childhood. It might be the echo of messages you heard growing up. You'll never amount to anything. Don't make mistakes. Or, you're not good enough. These messages, whether explicitly stated or subtly implied, form the basis for the beliefs that the inner critic now amplifies. If you grew up in an environment where perfection was expected and failure was met with punishment or disappointment, your inner critic might have developed as a defense mechanism to avoid making mistakes. Alternatively, if you were often told that you weren't worthy or that your efforts were never enough, your inner critic could have formed as a means of reinforcing those feelings of inadequacy. The inner critic thrives on the negative beliefs you hold about yourself. Its foundation is built on self-doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs that were often formed in childhood, but it continues to influence your actions and thoughts as an adult. This is why recognizing the inner critic's origins is so powerful. It allows you to detach from these false beliefs. The critical voice in your head may have been shaped by past experiences, but it doesn't define who you are or what you're capable of now. Acknowledging its roots helps you understand that the critic isn't an inherent part of you. It's an external influence, one that can be reprogrammed and ultimately silenced. How the inner critic manifests in your life. The inner critic doesn't just stay confined to your thoughts. It shows up in the way you approach your goals, relationships, and even your self-worth. It often manifests as self-sabotage, causing you to procrastinate, doubt your abilities, or avoid taking necessary risks. When you try to step out of your comfort zone, the inner critic is the voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" It tells you that you're not ready, that you'll fail, and that your ideas aren't worth pursuing. For example, when you consider starting a new project or making a big change in your life, the inner critic may show up with thoughts like, "You don't have the experience," or "There are others who are much better suited for this." These thoughts keep you stuck in inaction, preventing you from moving forward. The inner critic may also show up in the form of perfectionism, pushing you to delay taking action because you feel like you need to be perfect in every way. It demands flawless execution and convinces you that anything less than perfection is unacceptable. This constant striving for perfection leads to burnout and frustration because it's impossible to meet such unrealistic standards. Additionally, the inner critic affects the way you perceive failure. It encourages you to see failure as a reflection of your worth, rather than a natural and essential part of the learning process. Instead of taking risks and learning from the outcomes, you avoid them altogether to protect yourself from feeling inadequate. This cycle of self-doubt, perfectionism, and fear of failure is a direct result of the inner critic's influence. It creates a barrier between you and the life you want to live. The key to overcoming this barrier is not to silence the critic entirely, but to reframe it. Recognize it for what it is, an outdated voice from your past, one that can no longer hold sway over your present and future. Silencing the inner critic, rewiring your mindset. Now that you understand the origins of your inner critic and how it manifests in your life, the next step is learning how to silence it. This doesn't mean eliminating it entirely, because the inner critic's voice will likely never disappear completely. But it does mean learning to disempower it so that it no longer controls your decisions or actions. One of the first strategies for managing the inner critic is to separate yourself from the critic's voice. Start by identifying when it shows up and noticing the specific messages it's sending. Is it criticizing your appearance, your work, your ideas, or your worth? Recognize these messages as the old patterns of thought that they are, patterns that no longer serve you. Instead of believing these messages, begin to question their validity. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is this thought helping me move forward? What evidence do I have that contradicts this thought? When you start to look at the critic's messages with curiosity and skepticism, it loses its power over you. Another powerful way to silence the inner critic is by creating a new internal narrative. Instead of accepting the negative self-talk, challenge it with positive affirmations and empowering beliefs. For instance, if the inner critic tells you you're not good enough, counter that thought with, I am more than enough, and I am capable of achieving my goals. Affirmations are not just empty words. They are a way to reprogram your subconscious mind and replace the limiting beliefs that the inner critic tries to impose. Additionally, practice self-compassion. Instead of harshly criticizing yourself when you make a mistake, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend. Understand that mistakes are not failures, but rather opportunities for growth. Self-compassion diminishes the power of the inner critic because it allows you to accept yourself as you are, flaws and all. Turning the inner critic into a teacher. The inner critic doesn't have to be your enemy. In fact, when you learn to reframe its voice, it can become a powerful tool for growth. Instead of letting the inner critic keep you paralyzed in fear, you can use it as a guide to understand your deeper fears and limiting beliefs. For instance, if the critic is telling you that you're not good enough, it might be a sign that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and challenging an old belief that no longer serves you. Rather than suppressing this voice, you can ask yourself what this criticism is trying to teach you. What fear is it bringing to the surface? What belief is it challenging? By viewing the inner critic as a messenger rather than a foe, you can shift your perspective and use its presence to fuel your growth. You can also use the critic's energy as motivation. When it tells you that you're not good enough or that you'll fail, you can take that energy and channel it into action. Instead of retreating in fear, you can respond with determination and resolve. The inner critic's energy, when redirected, can become a driving force that propels you forward. Chapter 5. Break the loop. The power of negative thought patterns. Have you ever felt trapped in your own mind, like you're caught in an endless cycle of negative thoughts? These thoughts play on repeat, and no matter how hard you try, they never seem to fade away. You find yourself running through the same fears, doubts, and insecurities. The truth is, you're not imagining it. Your brain has a tendency to reinforce habitual thought patterns, especially when those patterns are negative. This is often referred to as a cognitive loop, a continuous automatic cycle of thinking that influences how you see yourself, your abilities, and your world. Over time, these loops can become so ingrained that they feel like second nature. It's as though your brain automatically goes down the same path every time, reinforcing your limiting beliefs and fears. But here's the secret. These loops are just habits, not truths. And just like any habit, they can be broken. When you let negative thought loops go unchecked, they begin to distort your perception of reality. They make you believe that failure is inevitable, that you're not good enough, or that success is out of reach. These thoughts limit your potential and hold you back from achieving your goals. The key to breaking free from these cycles is to first recognize them for what they are, habits of the mind that no longer serve you. Once you identify them, you can start disrupting them and replace them with more empowering thoughts. Rewiring your mindset begins with challenging the automatic patterns that keep you stuck in negative thinking. Disrupting negative loops, the power of pause. The first step to breaking these negative loops is to disrupt them before they gain momentum. And the best way to do this is through the power of pause. Instead of automatically reacting to a negative thought, take a moment to pause and observe it. This may sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Think of it like this. When you're standing in the middle of a busy intersection, cars are zooming by and everything feels chaotic. Your mind in that moment is running on autopilot, reacting automatically to everything around you. But when you step off the intersection and stand on the sidewalk, you can suddenly see everything from a calmer, more detached perspective. The same is true when you pause in the middle of a negative thought. You're no longer swept away by the storm of your emotions. Instead, you're observing them from a safe distance. Taking a brief moment to pause before reacting gives you the space to examine your thoughts objectively. It might only take a few seconds, but those seconds are powerful. In that moment of pause, you create a gap between the stimulus, the thought, and your reaction to it. This gap allows you to question the validity of the thought and decide whether it deserves your attention. Instead of spiraling into negative thinking, you gain control over your response. The key here is to become an observer of your thoughts, rather than a passive participant in them. When you consistently practice this pause, you'll start to interrupt the negative loops and break the automatic flow of thinking that keeps you stuck. Tools for rewiring your thought patterns. Now that you understand the power of pausing, the next step is to replace the negative loops with healthier, more empowering thoughts. But how do you do that? How can you start rewiring your mind for success and positivity? There are several tools you can use to break the negative thought patterns that hold you back. One of the most effective tools is cognitive reframing, which is simply the practice of changing the way you perceive a situation or thought. For example, let's say you fail at something. A negative thought might be, "I failed because I'm not good enough." But cognitive reframing would involve shifting that thought to something more empowering, like, "I failed because I didn't approach this the right way, but now I know what to do differently next time." Reframing allows you to change your perspective and view setbacks as opportunities for growth, rather than evidence of your inadequacy. Another powerful tool for disrupting negative thoughts is breathwork. It's impossible to underestimate the power of your breath in calming your mind and body. When you focus on your breathing, you anchor yourself in the present moment and interrupt the flow of negative thoughts. Simple breathing exercises, like deep belly breathing or box breathing, can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps reduce stress and anxiety. When your body feels calm, your mind follows suit, making it easier to break free from negative loops. Lastly, journaling can be an incredibly effective way to break the loop. Writing down your thoughts allows you to externalize your feelings and gain clarity. When you write, you often realize that your thoughts aren't as concrete as they feel in your head. Putting them on paper makes them more manageable and gives you the space to question their truth. You might find that many of your negative thoughts are exaggerated or based on assumptions rather than facts. This realization can be incredibly liberating. Replacing the negative loop with empowering habits. Breaking the loop isn't just about disrupting negative thoughts in the moment. It's also about developing new, empowering habits that reinforce positive thinking. Once you've interrupted the cycle, it's essential to replace it with habits that support the mindset you want to cultivate. Start by practicing daily affirmations. These are positive statements that help reshape your beliefs and remind you of your worth. For instance, affirmations like, "I am capable of achieving my goals," or "I am deserving of success," can be a powerful antidote to the negative loops that tell you otherwise. Repeat these affirmations every morning and let them sink into your subconscious. The more you say them, the more they'll become part of your belief system. Another habit that supports mindset rewiring is visualization. Imagine yourself succeeding, overcoming challenges, and living the life you desire. The brain doesn't always distinguish between reality and vividly imagined experiences. So when you visualize your success, your brain begins to accept it as possible. This process helps to reinforce positive thought patterns and supports your efforts to break the negative loops. Lastly, create a gratitude practice. Gratitude is a powerful tool for shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. When you focus on what's going well in your life, you begin to rewire your brain to look for the positives rather than dwelling on the negatives. A daily gratitude practice can be as simple as writing down 3 things you're thankful for every day. This simple habit has the power to shift your perspective and break the cycle of negativity that holds you back. The path forward. Keep disrupting, keep growing. Breaking negative thought loops is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process. The more you practice disrupting these loops and replacing them with empowering habits, the more you'll shift your mindset for lasting success. You'll begin to notice that your automatic thought patterns no longer revolve around fear and doubt. Instead, they'll be filled with possibilities, opportunities, and the belief that you are capable of creating the life you desire. As you continue to practice these tools and techniques, you'll find that your mind starts to rewire itself, naturally moving toward growth and success. The key is to stay committed to the process and keep challenging your old thought patterns. With time, persistence, and patience, you'll break free from the loops that have been holding you back and create a mindset that supports your highest potential. Chapter 6. The Belief Edit. What do you believe about success? Beliefs are the lenses through which we view the world. They shape how we interpret events, how we define our potential, and ultimately, how we act in pursuit of our goals. Yet many of us operate under beliefs that were never intentionally chosen, beliefs that were handed down by our parents, our culture, or past experiences. These beliefs often limit us, creating mental blocks that prevent us from reaching our full potential. Consider this. You may have an ingrained belief that success requires constant hustle, that you must work tirelessly to prove your worth, or that achieving big dreams is only for a select few. This belief might fuel your drive, but it also could lead to burnout and dissatisfaction. What if I told you that your beliefs about success, about effort, about what you're capable of, can be edited, just like editing a document on your computer? The truth is, beliefs are not fixed. They are editable. You can change them. And when you change your beliefs, you change your reality. Take a moment to think about your beliefs around success. How did they form? Were they modeled by the people you admired, or were they shaped by your past experiences, especially the ones that didn't go as planned? Many people hold on to the belief that success is a distant destination. a place where you arrive only after overcoming enormous hurdles. But that's a limiting belief. Success is not a singular point in the future. It's a continuous, evolving journey that unfolds over time. When you recognize that success doesn't have to be this unattainable peak, but rather an ongoing process, you create a belief system that empowers you to take more consistent, meaningful actions. Belief is the foundation of every achievement. It's the root from which success grows. Without shifting your beliefs, you'll continue to operate on autopilot, repeating patterns of behavior that won't bring you any closer to your goals. By editing your beliefs, you can rewrite the script of your life and unlock new levels of success that once seemed impossible. Replacing outdated beliefs with empowering ones. Now that you understand the importance of belief in shaping your reality, the next step is to start replacing those outdated limiting beliefs with more empowering ones. The first part of this process is identifying the beliefs that no longer serve you. These might include beliefs like, "I'm not good enough," "Success is for other people, not me," or "I have to do everything perfectly." These beliefs are like invisible chains, holding you back from stepping into your potential. Recognizing them is the first step, but acknowledging them is not enough. You have to actively challenge and replace them. To do this, you need to examine each belief and ask yourself, is this belief true? For example, if you believe you're not capable of achieving something, ask yourself, what evidence do I have that supports this belief? Have I ever done something similar before, or seen others accomplish it? Often, you'll find that the evidence doesn't match the belief. Most limiting beliefs are rooted in fear, past failures, or external pressures that have been internalized. They are not based on objective truth. They're based on perception. Once you identify the belief, you need to replace it with a new one that reflects a more empowering, truthful perspective. For instance, if your belief is, "I can never be successful because I don't have enough experience," you can replace it with, "Success doesn't require perfection. It requires action, learning, and growth." The key is to replace the old belief with something that is not just positive but also true. This new belief should be grounded in the reality that growth is possible and that mistakes are part of the process. The more you repeat the new belief, the more you will begin to internalize it. It will become part of your mindset and will influence the actions you take toward your goals. Over time, these new empowering beliefs will replace the outdated ones, opening up new possibilities and empowering you just to take action with confidence. Visualization exercise, Future You Check In. Now that you know how to identify and replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, let's take it a step further. The power of visualization is a critical tool in the belief editing process. Visualization is not just about imagining success. It's about connecting with the future version of yourself, the person you are becoming. Visualization allows you to step into the shoes of your future self, seeing the success, confidence, and growth that you are capable of achieving. When you visualize this version of yourself, you begin to embody the belief that success is already happening. It becomes real in your mind, and when something feels real, it's easier to act in alignment with it. Here's how to perform a Future You Check-In. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Picture yourself 5 years from now. Imagine everything you've achieved by that point, how you've grown, the success you've experienced, and the person you've become. Visualize this future version of yourself living the life you desire, having overcome the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Notice the emotions this image brings up. How does it feel to have achieved your goals? What beliefs does this future version of you hold about yourself and the world? Spend some time imagining the small steps that got you there, because success doesn't just happen in a single moment. It's built on a foundation of consistent actions and decisions. As you visualize this future version of yourself, recognize that you are already on the path, to becoming that person. The only thing standing between you and your future success is the beliefs you hold in the present moment. Once you connect with this future self, you can start adopting their mindset and beliefs today. By regularly checking in with your future self through visualization, you create a powerful connection to the version of you that is already successful, confident, and capable. This exercise can be a game changer in shifting your beliefs and transforming your mindset for success. Chapter 7. Upgrade your inner language, how self-talk shapes behavior. Language is more than just a tool for communication. It's the foundation upon which we build our thoughts, emotions, and ultimately, our actions. The way you talk to yourself matters more than you think. In fact, your inner language is the lens through which you interpret the world and make decisions. Have you ever found yourself thinking, "I can't do this," or "I'm just not cut out for this"? Those words you say to yourself have a profound impact on your mindset. When you speak to yourself with criticism, doubt, or negativity, your brain responds by reinforcing those beliefs. Over time, these repeated statements can limit your potential, holding you back from pursuing your dreams or taking bold action. Self-talk is a reflection of your subconscious beliefs, and it directly influences your behavior. When you speak negatively about yourself, you reinforce the idea that you're incapable, unworthy, or insufficient. Conversely, when you speak to yourself with encouragement, kindness, and confidence, you begin to believe that you are capable of success. Your inner language is not just a passive element of your mindset. It is an active force that shapes the course of your life. Think about the last time you faced a challenge or had to step out of your comfort zone. What did you tell yourself in that moment? If your inner language was full of doubt or fear, you may have hesitated or retreated. But if you used empowering language, telling yourself, "I've got this," "I am capable of handling this," or "I can figure this out," you are much more likely to take action and push through the discomfort. The language you use internally has the power to either propel you forward or hold you back. By upgrading your inner language, you can shift from a place of fear and doubt to a place of confidence and empowerment. This shift can be the key to unlocking new levels of success and personal growth. Your inner dialogue is a reflection of how you view yourself and your abilities, and by consciously choosing words that align with your goals, you can change the trajectory of your life. Words that build versus words that break. We all have an internal monologue, the constant chatter that runs in the background of our minds. But what if I told you that those words can either build or break you? Words have energy. They can either lift you up or drag you down, and the words you use shape your experiences, emotions, and behaviors. Think about the difference between saying, "I can't do this," versus, "This is going to be tough, but I can figure it out." The first phrase sends a message of defeat, while the second is empowering. It acknowledges the difficulty of the situation, but also affirms your ability to overcome it. The difference between these two sentences is subtle but profound. The first reinforces helplessness, while the second reinforces resilience. Consider this. When you say, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," what impact does that have on your mindset? These are words that break you down. They reinforce feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. On the other hand, words like, "I am capable," "I am worthy of success," or "I am enough" build you up. They create a sense of self-worth and empower you to take action. Every word you say to yourself shapes your belief system and influences how you show up in the world. That's why it's crucial to be mindful of the language you use, because the more you speak negatively about yourself, the more you reinforce that negativity. However, when you consistently use empowering words, you begin to change the narrative in your mind and shift your perspective. So, how can you start using language that builds rather than breaks? Start by paying attention to your self-talk. When you catch yourself using words that limit or break you down, pause and ask, is this the language that supports my growth? Is this language moving me closer to my goals? If the answer is no, choose different words. Choose words that affirm your strength, resilience, and ability to handle whatever comes your way. Remember, you are the architect of your inner dialogue, and you have the power to choose words that build the life you want. Daily rewiring. Affirmations with depth, not fluff. Affirmations are a powerful tool for upgrading your inner language, but for them to be effective, they need to go beyond surface-level fluff. Too often, people use affirmations like, I am successful, or I am rich. But if these statements don't resonate with your current reality, they can feel disconnected or even inauthentic. For affirmations to work, they need to be deeply rooted in your personal truth and aligned with your goals. It's not enough to simply repeat empty statements. You need to make sure that the affirmations you use reflect the person you are becoming, not just the person you are today. Affirmations are most powerful when they evoke a sense of belief and possibility in your heart. When you speak affirmations that resonate with you on a deeper level, you begin to embody those truths and integrate them into your mindset. The key to creating effective affirmations is to make them specific, emotional, and present-focused. Instead of saying, I am successful, try something like, I am taking consistent action toward my goals, and every step I take brings me closer to success. This affirmation focuses on the process of success, not just the end result. It emphasizes your current ability to take action, which is the foundation of long-term success. Affirmations like these help you stay grounded in the present moment while also reinforcing your belief in the future you are creating. They become a roadmap that guides your actions, reminding you that success is not a distant destination, but a daily practice of showing up and moving forward. To make your affirmations even more powerful, add an emotional component. Rather than merely repeating words, think about how you want to feel as you move closer to your goals. Do you want to feel confident, excited, empowered? Use language that taps into those emotions. For example, instead of saying, I am confident, try, I feel energized and confident in every decision I make, knowing that I have the power to create my desired future. This affirmation connects your actions with the emotional energy that fuels them. It shifts your focus from simply affirming a statement to actually embodying the feeling of success, which in turn helps to rewire your brain for success. By practicing affirmations with depth, you create a daily ritual of rewiring your inner language. The more you speak words that align with your goals and reflect the emotions you want to feel, the more you reprogram your subconscious mind. Over time, these affirmations will become ingrained in your mindset, and you'll begin to show up as the person who believes in their ability to succeed. Your language will no longer be a barrier to your success. It will be the bridge that connects you to the future you desire. Chapter 8. Emotional Rewiring. Why success requires emotional agility. When we think of success, it's easy to focus on the external, the accolades, the achievements, the tangible outcomes. But success isn't just about what you do. It's also about how you feel and how you navigate the emotional landscape of your journey. Emotional agility, the ability to move through emotions with flexibility and resilience, is just as crucial to your success as hard work or strategy. In fact, the most successful people are not those who avoid uncomfortable emotions, but those who know how to experience them without letting them control their decisions or derail their progress. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience, but how you relate to them can determine whether you stay stuck or move forward. Too often, we let negative emotions like fear, shame, and doubt dictate our actions. When we feel fear, we stop. When we feel shame, we hide. When we doubt ourselves, we hesitate. But what if, instead of avoiding these emotions or letting them stop us in our tracks, we could learn to move through them? What if, instead of being paralyzed by negative emotions, we could use them as fuel for growth and action? In the pursuit of success, emotional agility means not being afraid of emotions, but developing the skills to navigate them with confidence and understanding. It means embracing your emotions as valuable signals rather than obstacles. Emotional agility doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about acknowledging them, understanding their role, and then choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with your goals. For example, when fear arises, emotional agility allows you to recognize that fear is a natural response to stepping into the unknown. Instead of allowing fear to hold you back, you can choose to act in spite of it, knowing that growth lies on the other side of discomfort. When self-doubt creeps in, emotional agility allows you to reframe those thoughts and continue moving forward, trusting in your ability to succeed despite the uncertainty. Success, therefore, is not just about achieving external milestones. It's about learning to master your emotions so that you can stay focused, resilient, and aligned with your true potential. Dealing with resistance, shame, and doubt. One of the biggest challenges on the path to success is learning how to deal with resistance, shame, and doubt. These emotions often arise when you push beyond your comfort zone, and if left unchecked, they can derail your progress. Resistance is the internal force that causes us to procrastinate, avoid, or retreat when faced with something difficult. It's the voice that tells us, "This is too hard," or "I'm not ready yet." Resistance can show up in many forms: fear of failure, fear of judgment, or even a deep sense of unworthiness. Shame is the feeling that you're not enough, that you don't deserve success, or that you've done something wrong. It's the emotion that makes you want to hide or shrink when things get tough. Doubt, on the other hand, is the mental chatter that questions your abilities, your choices, and your future. It's the voice that whispers, "What if you fail?" Or, "What if you're not cut out for this?" These emotions are common, and they are not signs of weakness. They are signs of growth. The key is not to avoid them, but to learn how to respond to them in a way that doesn't stop you from moving forward. Resistance is often a sign that you are pushing up against your limits, that you are on the edge of something transformative. When you feel resistance, it's a signal that you are growing, and growth always involves discomfort. Instead of giving in to resistance, you can choose to lean into it, understanding that it's part of the process. Similarly, shame often arises when you feel like you're not measuring up to others or to some idealized version of success. But shame is an emotional response to an external standard, and it is rarely an accurate reflection of your true worth. When shame arises, remind yourself that you are human, that making mistakes is a natural part of the journey, and that you are worthy of success regardless of your past. Doubt is perhaps the most insidious of these emotions, as it often leads to inaction. Doubt makes you question whether you're good enough or capable enough to achieve your goals. But doubt is not an indication of failure. It's a normal part of taking risks and stepping into the unknown. When doubt arises, take a deep breath and remind yourself of your strengths, your past successes, and the fact that doubt is simply a sign that you are on the path to something new. Emotional rewiring is about transforming these negative emotions into sources of strength. Instead of seeing resistance, shame, and doubt as roadblocks, you can reframe them as signs that you're moving in the right direction. When you shift your perspective, you can face these emotions with resilience and confidence, knowing that they are part of the process, not the end of the road. By embracing emotional agility, you empower yourself to move forward, even when emotions tell you to turn back. Mindset shifts for navigating discomfort. One of the most important mindset shifts you can make is learning to embrace discomfort as a necessary part of growth. The path to success is not always smooth, and it's rarely without its challenges. In fact, Discomfort is often the greatest indicator that you are pushing yourself to new heights. When you shift your mindset to view discomfort as an opportunity for growth, you can begin to embrace it rather than resist it. Discomfort is a natural part of the learning process. It's the feeling that comes when you stretch beyond your current capacity and step into new territory. Whether it's taking on a challenging project, facing criticism, or navigating the fear of failure, discomfort signals that you are on the verge of transformation. Instead of seeing discomfort as something to avoid, you can start to see it as a sign that you are expanding your boundaries. When you face discomfort head-on, you build emotional resilience and confidence. Every time you push through discomfort, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of handling challenges and overcoming obstacles. This mindset shift is powerful because it allows you to move forward without being paralyzed by fear or self-doubt. You begin to see discomfort not as a threat, but as a signal of growth, a sign that you are on the right track. The key to navigating discomfort is to reframe it as a normal, necessary part of your journey. Instead of thinking, "I can't handle this," or "this is too hard," reframe those thoughts with, "This is challenging, but I am capable of handling it," or "I'm growing through this experience." When you embrace discomfort with this mindset, you take control of your emotional state and empower yourself to move forward. Growth is often found on the other side of discomfort, and every time you embrace it, you move closer to your goals. Chapter 9. The Success Identity Shift. You can't outperform your self-image. We often hear the phrase, "fake it till you make it." But this popular saying misses a key point when it comes to achieving lasting success. True success is not about pretending to be someone you're not, but about aligning your actions with the person you truly want to become. The foundation of success is rooted in your self-image, how you see yourself, and the beliefs you hold about your abilities, your worth, and your potential. Your self-image acts as a blueprint for your life. Just like an architect uses blueprints to guide the construction of a building, your self-image serves as the template for your actions, decisions, and behaviors. If your self-image is one of someone who is not capable of achieving success, your actions will reflect that belief. You will hold back, doubt yourself, and self-sabotage. But when you shift your self-image to one of someone who is capable, confident, and deserving of success, your behavior will naturally follow suit. In essence, you cannot outperform your self-image. If you see yourself as someone who is destined to fail, you will unconsciously make choices that support that narrative. Your mind will find evidence to reinforce your limiting beliefs, and you'll likely stay stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and underachievement. However, when you begin to see yourself as someone who is worthy of success, who is capable of handling challenges, and who is resilient in the face of adversity, your actions will reflect that belief. You will begin to take bold, confident steps toward your goals, and the results will follow. The key to success is not just about doing the right things. It's about being the right person. By shifting your self-image, you shift the way you show up in the world. You start to make decisions from a place of strength and belief in your potential, rather than from a place of fear and doubt. Shifting your self-image is not about denying the obstacles or challenges you face. It's about acknowledging that you have the strength, skills, and resilience to navigate them. It's about becoming the person who is capable of handling your dreams and ambitions. This identity shift is crucial because without it, you will always be limited by your own self-doubt and self-imposed limitations. When you see yourself as someone who is worthy of success and capable of achieving great things, you'll begin to take actions that align with that belief, and success will naturally follow. Crafting a new internal identity, rooted in confidence. So, how do you begin to craft a new internal identity, one that is rooted in confidence and success? The first step is to let go of the old stories and beliefs that have been holding you back. These stories may have been created by past experiences, societal conditioning, or limiting beliefs that you've internalized over time. The good news is that you are not bound to these stories forever. You have the power to rewrite them and create a new narrative for yourself. To begin the process of shifting your identity, it's important to identify the limiting beliefs and negative stories you've been telling yourself. What have you believed about your capabilities, your worth, or your potential? Have you been telling yourself that you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not deserving of success? These beliefs are the foundation of your current identity, but they are not your truth. Once you've identified the limiting beliefs that have been shaping your self-image, it's time to reframe them with new, empowering beliefs. This doesn't mean simply pretending that everything is perfect or that challenges don't exist. Rather, it means adopting a mindset that acknowledges your worth and abilities, even in the face of challenges. For example, if you've been telling yourself that you're not good enough, you can reframe that belief to, I am worthy of success, and I have everything I need within me to achieve my goals. If you've believed that failure defines you, shift that belief to, failure is a part of the learning process, and each setback brings me closer to my success. This reframing process allows you to create a new internal narrative, one that aligns with the person you want to become. In addition to reframing your beliefs, it's important to visualize yourself as the person you want to be. Visualization is a powerful tool for reprogramming your mind and shifting your self-image. Take some time each day to vividly imagine yourself living the life you want. Picture yourself succeeding, achieving your goals, and stepping into the person you are becoming. See yourself handling challenges with confidence, resilience, and grace. The more you visualize yourself in this empowered state, the more you reinforce the belief that you are capable of success. Over time, this visualization process will begin to shape your identity and behavior. Your new identity will no longer be something you are striving for. It will be something that you embody in every aspect of your life. Anchoring techniques to lock it in. Now that you've crafted a new internal identity rooted in confidence, it's important to anchor this new identity into your daily life. Anchoring is the process of creating physical or mental cues that remind you of the person you are becoming and help you stay connected to your new self-image. These cues act as reminders to live in alignment with your new beliefs and identity, helping you stay grounded and focused as you move through your day. One powerful way to anchor your new identity is through affirmations. Affirmations are statements that reinforce your new beliefs and remind you of your worth and potential. For example, you can use affirmations like, I am confident and capable, I am deserving of success, or I am constantly growing and evolving. To make your affirmations even more powerful, you can incorporate physical anchors. For instance, you might associate a specific gesture, a hand on your heart, or a fist pump, with your affirmation. Whenever you repeat your affirmation, do this gesture so that the physical movement becomes tied to the empowering belief. Over time, this gesture will serve as a powerful trigger, reminding you of your new identity and helping you stay grounded in your confidence. Another way to anchor your new identity is by creating rituals or routines that support your new beliefs. For example, you might begin each morning by writing down your goals, visualizing your success, and repeating your affirmations. This morning ritual sets the tone for your day and helps you stay connected to your new identity from the moment you wake up. Similarly, you can create evening rituals that reinforce your progress and remind you of your successes, no matter how small. These rituals help solidify your new identity by keeping it at the forefront of your mind and integrating it into your daily life. Anchoring your new identity is crucial because it helps you stay consistent in your beliefs and actions, even when challenges arise. By consistently reinforcing your new identity, you create a strong foundation of confidence and self-assurance that will carry you through the ups and downs of your journey to success. Chapter 10. Habits that match your new mindset Aligning routines with your upgraded self. Once you've reshaped your mindset and identity, the next crucial step is to realign your daily habits and routines with the new version of yourself. Why? Because your habits are the architecture that support or sabotage your transformation. Think of mindset as the internal engine and habits as the wheels that carry your life forward. You can't simply think your way into a new life. You must act your way into it again and again until those actions become part of who you are. The person you've upgraded into, confident, capable, driven, requires a system of habits that reflect and reinforce that identity. Too often, people try to leap toward success with old routines clinging to them like anchors. They attempt to change their lives while maintaining behaviors born from a mindset they've already outgrown. That mismatch creates tension, resistance, and eventual regression. But when your habits are aligned with your elevated mindset, they become a quiet force, pushing you forward without friction. To realign your routines, start by evaluating the daily patterns that shaped the old version of you. What time did you wake up? How did you start your mornings? What inputs were you feeding your brain? Social media, negativity, passive consumption? What actions did you avoid? Exercise, planning, difficult conversations, taking initiative. None of this is about shame. It's about radical honesty. Because without awareness, you'll unconsciously default back to old rhythms that are no longer serving your future. Your routines must now serve your new story. For instance, if you've upgraded your mindset to believe you are worthy of abundance and opportunity, but you still begin each day by scrolling through comparison-driven apps or diving into chaos without intention, you're unintentionally signaling to your brain that your upgrade was cosmetic, not foundational. Designing new routines starts with your mornings. How you begin your day matters far more than most people realize. Your morning routine should not just be productive, it should be empowering. It should awaken you, not just physically, but mentally. That doesn't mean cramming your mornings with an unrealistic checklist of 10 self-help practices. It means choosing a few intentional habits that ground you in your identity. This could be as simple as 3 deep breaths and a powerful affirmation before touching your phone, journaling your focus for the day, or stretching your body while listening to something uplifting. What matters is that it's done with presence and intention. Because routines done in alignment are less about what you do and more about who you become through doing it consistently. When your habits align with your new identity, they no longer feel like chores. They feel like rituals, sacred, energizing, and essential. Micro-habits that reinforce belief and momentum. When most people think of habits, they think big. Going to the gym for an hour every day? Reading a book a week? Starting a business and committing 3 hours a night to it? But here's the truth. It's not the big habits that rewire your life. It's the small, consistent micro-habits that quietly build momentum. Your identity isn't shaped by occasional heroic efforts. It's shaped by what you do consistently, especially when no one's watching. Micro-habits are the secret sauce to rewiring for success because they bypass resistance and make consistency effortless. They're so small, you have no excuse not to do them. And yet, they create disproportionate impact over time. Let's be real, motivation fades, it's fleeting. Discipline can be trained, yes, but it's not infinite. That's where micro-habits shine. They lower the barrier to entry. Want to become someone who works out consistently? Don't start with a full routine. Start with putting on your gym shoes. That tiny action primes your identity. It tells your brain, I am someone who prioritizes my health. Want to become a writer? Start by writing 1 sentence a day. Want to become financially empowered? Start by checking your bank account mindfully each morning. These micro-habits act like anchors, small actions tied to a big identity shift. And over time, they stack. They evolve. 1 push-up turns into 5, then 10. One journal entry becomes a morning ritual. One deep breath becomes a meditation practice. The key is starting with something so small, it's impossible to fail. The beauty of micro-habits is that they also create internal credibility. Every time you follow through, even in a tiny way, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious. I follow through. I do what I say I'll do. That credibility compounds. Suddenly, you're not chasing motivation. You're fueled by momentum. And momentum is the real engine of transformation. It's the quiet force that turns belief into behavior and behavior into identity. Micro-habits also remove the drama from the process. No more all or nothing pressure. No more guilt for missing a full routine. It's about doing something, anything, that affirms your identity every single day. That's how you create habits that don't just change your schedule, they change your story. How to stay consistent without burning out. Consistency is the holy grail of habit building, but here's the trap most people fall into. They associate consistency with intensity. They believe that in order to succeed, they must go all in every day without fail. And while intensity can create short-term bursts, it often leads to burnout, resentment, or collapse. Sustainable success isn't built on maximum output. It's built on rhythm. Think of it like music. It's not just about the notes. It's about the timing, the breath, the space between. Consistency without burnout means creating a rhythm that supports your energy, your priorities, and your humanity. You're not a machine. You're a complex, feeling, evolving human being. And your habits should honor that truth, not ignore it. One of the most powerful ways to stay consistent without burning out is to build flexible systems instead of rigid rules. Rigid rules break under pressure. Flexible systems bend and adapt while still moving you forward. For example, instead of saying, "I will meditate for 20 minutes every morning," or "I've failed," create a flexible system. Each morning, I'll create space for some form of intentional grounding, whether it's breathwork, journaling, or quiet reflection, for at least 5 minutes. This gives you freedom within structure. It reduces guilt and shame while maintaining integrity. Flexible systems work because they honor the realities of life. Some days are heavy. Some mornings get hijacked. Flexibility allows you to adapt without collapsing the whole system. Another key strategy for staying consistent is tracking progress visually and emotionally. Create visual cues, habit trackers, sticky notes, journals that remind you of your progress, but also track how the habits make you feel. Did you feel more grounded after journaling? More confident after that walk? More empowered after saying no to something that didn't serve you? Progress isn't just about streaks. It's about emotional evidence. It's about feeling the shift. And when you connect your habits to emotional rewards, they become more meaningful and sustainable. Consistency without burnout also means celebrating the small wins. Every time you honor your new identity with action, celebrate it. Acknowledge it. Anchor it. That celebration creates a dopamine feedback loop that reinforces the behavior. Success becomes not just what you achieve, but who you become in the process. Finally, protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You can't pour from an empty cup. Building habits that support your mindset doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means curating your inputs, protecting your peace, and creating boundaries around what truly matters. It's okay to rest. It's okay to reset. What matters most is that you always return, not perfectly, but powerfully. Because rewiring your life isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And when your habits support your highest self, every day becomes an opportunity to honor that self, gracefully, intentionally, and unapologetically. Chapter 11. Rewiring through action as the ultimate belief reinforcer. We've spent the last several chapters upgrading your mindset, reshaping your self-talk, shifting your identity, and building rituals that support the new you. But now comes the part most people skip. Action. Not action as a checkbox, not action when it's easy, but bold, intentional action even when your brain screams for comfort. Because here's the truth. Few mindset books want to tell you, nothing rewires your brain faster than doing the thing your old self would have avoided. You can reframe, affirm, journal, and visualize all day, but if you don't act, nothing sticks. Action cements belief. It proves to your subconscious that change is happening, not just being talked about. Action is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming, and every step you take across it tells your brain, this is who I am now. The most powerful part? You don't need to feel ready. You don't need all the steps mapped out. You don't even need confidence. You just need willingness. The willingness to move, even if your hands shake. The willingness to show up, even if your voice cracks. The willingness to be seen, even if you feel exposed. Because every time you act from your upgraded mindset, you cast a vote for that version of you to become real. One conversation, one risk, one email, one workout, one decision. They stack, they multiply, and your nervous system begins to recalibrate. Your brain starts to associate success, not with striving, but with alignment. You stop seeing bold action as dangerous and start recognizing it as necessary. And once that shift happens, your whole reality begins to change. You might be wondering, what kind of actions count? Do they have to be huge, public, life-altering moves? Not at all. In fact, some of the most transformative actions are quiet and deeply personal. Choosing to say no when you've always said yes. Speaking your truth when you used to shrink. Applying for the opportunity you've been silently desiring. Asking for help instead of pretending you're fine. These actions don't make headlines, but they rewire your internal world in ways no external win ever could, because they reflect you choosing alignment over approval, growth over comfort, expansion over stagnation. And when your actions start reflecting the identity you've been upgrading internally, that's when you become unstoppable. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've stopped waiting for perfect to begin. Why messy action? Greater than perfect planning. Let's dismantle one of the biggest lies holding people back, the myth of perfect planning. We've been sold the idea that clarity must come before action, that every step must be outlined before the journey begins. But the truth is, clarity is not the prerequisite, it's the byproduct. You don't gain confidence, direction, or precision by waiting. You gain it by doing. And not just any doing, messy, imperfect, uncomfortable doing. The kind of doing that gets your hands dirty, your ego bruised, and your courage activated. Because messy action is honest. It forces you to face the gap between what you know and what you actually apply. And it's in that gap, awkward, vulnerable, real, that the deepest rewiring takes place. Think about how we learn anything. You didn't learn to walk by researching the biomechanics of human movement. You took a step. You fell. You adjusted. Then you took another. Learning to walk was messy, but it was progress. Adults forget that. We convince ourselves we need another course, another book, another sign. But what we really need is movement. Not reckless, reactive motion, but grounded, imperfect steps forward. Messy action builds data. It gives your brain feedback. It lets you experiment, refine, and adjust. Planning, on the other hand, is safe. It feels productive but delays transformation because you can't rewire your beliefs through theory. You rewire them by proving again and again that your fears were wrong and your power is real. Of course, this doesn't mean plans are useless. It means plans should support action, not delay it. Start small if you must, but start. Send the pitch, record the video, post the idea, ask the question, Launch the thing. Make the call. Let it be messy. Let it be imperfect. Let it teach you. Because the sooner you move, the sooner you learn. And the sooner you learn, the sooner you grow. The people who succeed aren't always the smartest or most talented. They're the ones who move. They take fast, courageous, messy action, while others are still overthinking. And every imperfect move becomes a lesson, a win, or a redirection. There is no failure in messy action, only feedback. So let go of the fantasy of flawless beginnings and embrace the truth. Progress loves imperfection. Stories of transformation through do first, believe later. Let's bring this home with real proof. Stories of people who didn't wait to believe fully before they acted, but who acted, and through action, began to believe. Because that's the magic of rewiring through action. Belief becomes a consequence, not a prerequisite. Take Marcus, a graphic designer who dreamed of starting his own studio. For years, he told himself he needed more experience, more clients, a bigger portfolio. But deep down, that was fear dressed up as preparation. One day, he made the leap. Not with a full business plan, but with a simple post announcing his new freelance brand. He had no fancy website, no business cards, just a Canva logo and a clear message. Within a week, he got his first client. Within a month, his confidence had tripled. Not because he had achieved success, but because he had broken through paralysis. Every project since then has added to his belief, not the other way around. Or Maya, a teacher who had always dreamed of writing a book, but doubted she had the talent. She waited for inspiration, for certainty, for some external sign she was ready. It never came. Until one day she decided to write a single page. That was it. No deadline, no pressure, just one page. That page led to another, and another. Soon, writing became her daily act of courage. Her inner critic didn't vanish, but her discipline got louder. 2 years later, her book exists, not because she believed she could do it from the start, but because she wrote anyway. Do first, believe later. That's the rewiring formula. Then there's Luis, an introvert who always saw himself as socially awkward and unlikable. After doing deep mindset work, he decided to test a new belief. Maybe I'm more likable than I think. He didn't wait until he believed it 100%. He just acted as if it were possible. He initiated more conversations, asked questions, and practiced presence. To his surprise, people responded warmly. Slowly, his social anxiety loosened its grip. The feedback from action began to overwrite years of internal judgment. He didn't need a therapist to tell him he was worthy of connection. He experienced it through showing up differently. That's the power of acting as if. It's not faking it. It's creating the evidence your old mindset never had. You see, transformation doesn't require certainty. It requires courage. And every time you choose action over analysis, forward movement over fear, you tell your brain, this is who we are now. That message, repeated through behavior, becomes a new belief. Beliefs are not set in stone. They are stories reinforced by emotion and experience, and nothing rewrites them faster than real-world evidence. So give yourself that evidence. Don't wait to believe. Move first. Speak first. Try first. And watch how your nervous system catches up, one action at a time. Chapter 12. When the old you fights back, expecting resistance. Why growth triggers. Pushback. Every person who makes the decision to change will at some point feel like they're taking 2 steps forward and then suddenly 3 steps back. This moment, the relapse into old thoughts, behaviors, or emotions, can feel discouraging. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't failure. It's feedback. The old you fighting back isn't a sign you're broken or incapable. It's confirmation that your brain is experiencing a disruption in its normal programming. Your nervous system, trained to seek familiarity for safety, will often interpret growth as danger. This is biology, not weakness. When you start rewiring your mindset, stepping into bold action, and reimagining your identity, you challenge the very core of what your brain associates with safety. And like a security system triggered by unexpected motion, it will set off alarms, not to sabotage you, but to protect the status quo. This means resistance is not a problem. It's proof of progress. Think of your old patterns like a well-worn path through a forest. It's easy to walk, predictable, and doesn't take much effort. When you start forging a new path, say a trail that leads somewhere better, it's tougher at first. Branches get in your way. You have to push through discomfort. The old path beckons because it's easier, familiar. But ease and familiarity aren't signs of alignment. They're signs of conditioning. If you expect your growth to feel smooth all the time, you'll be blindsided by resistance. But if you expect resistance, prepare for it, and even welcome it as a sign you're rewiring at a deep level. It loses its power to derail you. This doesn't mean the resistance disappears. It means it no longer surprises you. And when you're not surprised, you're not shaken. You stay the course, eyes open, heart steady, knowing this discomfort is the signal that change is real, not imagined. This is why so many people give up when they were inches away from breakthrough. They misinterpret resistance as misalignment. They say, if this was meant for me, it wouldn't be this hard. But that's a flawed narrative. The truth is, anything worth building will demand more of you. Your comfort zone is not your compass. Discomfort isn't always a sign to stop. It's often a sign to lean in, to double down, to say to yourself, this is where the rewiring happens. It's in those moments, when you want to retreat, when the doubt creeps in, when your old patterns roar the loudest, that your choice matters most. Will you stay loyal to the old story or show loyalty to the future you're creating? That decision, made consistently, becomes your turning point. The sabotage cycle and how to interrupt it. One of the most dangerous traps on the path to transformation is the sabotage cycle. It's subtle, it's sneaky, and it's often disguised as logic, humility, or caution. You've seen it before. Just when things are going well, you do something that unravels your progress. You procrastinate on that follow-up email. You cancel the workout streak that made you feel powerful. You ghost the opportunity that made your heart race. Why? Because deep down, the old self doesn't believe the success is real. It doesn't trust the new identity you're stepping into. And so, without realizing it, you act in ways that align with the old belief system. That's sabotage. Not because you're weak, but because your nervous system is still catching up to the new normal. Here's how the sabotage cycle typically works. Step 1. You experience a breakthrough. Maybe you have a great week of showing up for yourself. You set boundaries. You follow through. You feel amazing. Then, almost out of nowhere, you crash. You binge watch instead of building. You overthink a conversation until you convince yourself you were out of line. You stop doing the things that got you that initial success. Why? Because subconsciously, the old identity says, this doesn't feel like us. And the mind, always trying to maintain internal congruence, will steer your behaviors back to match your deepest self-perception. This is where most people get stuck. They mistake sabotage for proof that they weren't ready or worthy. But sabotage is not proof of failure. It's proof of an identity shift in progress. So how do you interrupt the sabotage cycle? First, name it. Awareness is power. When you catch yourself backing away from your progress, instead of judging yourself, get curious. Ask, what part of me feels unsafe with this success? Second, pause instead of panic. Just because you slipped doesn't mean you've lost everything. Success isn't a straight line. It's a series of recommitments. Third, Re-anchor to your why. Remind yourself what this change is about, who you're doing it for, and how the old pattern no longer serves your future. And finally, act anyway. Even if the voice of self-sabotage is loud, let your behavior reflect the new belief you're building. Because every time you interrupt the pattern and choose differently, you shrink the power of the old self. This is how you override the sabotage cycle, not by avoiding it, but by confronting it with strategy and self-compassion. Recommitment over motivation, staying in the game. Here's the truth about growth no one wants to admit. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always wake up inspired, lit up, and ready to conquer the world. In fact, some days you'll feel resistance so heavy, it will make your bones ache. You'll question everything. You'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll want to go back to autopilot because at least it was easier. This is where most people either burn out or bail. They wait for motivation to return like it's a divine signal to keep going. But what you need in those moments isn't motivation. It's recommitment. The quiet, deliberate decision to continue forward because your vision matters more than your mood. Motivation is a spark. Recommitment is the firewood that keeps the fire burning when the spark fades. Recommitment looks like showing up for your morning routine when your bed feels like a magnet. It's writing the next paragraph of your book, even when your mind says it's trash. It's going to the gym when every cell in your body says, stay home. It's reaching out, standing up, leaning in, especially when the voice of your old self says, why bother? The truth is, that voice may never fully go away. But your relationship with it can change. When you recommit over and over, you become the kind of person who follows through, not just when it's easy or exciting, but when it's hard and unsexy. And that consistency rewires your brain faster than any burst of motivation ever could. You don't have to feel good to stay committed. You just have to remember why you started. Revisit your vision daily. Keep a journal of proof, small wins, mindset shifts, brave actions that remind you of how far you've come. Create systems that support your recommitment, accountability partners, visual reminders, rituals that ground you when the old self gets loud. And most of all, forgive yourself quickly. If you fall off, get back up. If you freeze, unfreeze. If you sabotage, correct course. The game isn't about perfection. It's about direction. As long as you're moving forward, however slowly, however messily, you're still in it. You're still rewiring. You're still becoming. And that, more than anything, is what makes the transformation stick. Chapter 13, Rewired Relationships and Environments. The people around you shape the person within you. It's an uncomfortable truth, but one that must be faced if you're serious about transformation. You cannot fully rewire your mindset while surrounding yourself with people who reinforce the old version of you. You may not even realize it's happening. Sometimes it's the subtle comments, a friend joking about how you're too serious now, or a loved one reminding you of a past mistake as if it still defines you. Other times, it's more overt, criticism masked as concern, doubt wrapped in affection. These are not always bad people. Many of them love you, but love does not always equal alignment. And alignment is what matters most when you're trying to grow. You have to ask yourself, do the people I spend the most time with nourish the mindset I'm building? Or do they keep dragging me back into the mindset I'm leaving behind? Our relationships act like mirrors. They reflect back to us the version of ourselves we've shown them the most consistently. So when you begin to change, the reflection no longer matches the reality. That misalignment can trigger fear, not just in you, but in the people closest to you. Your growth disrupts the emotional equilibrium that once existed. Suddenly, your ambition may make them feel left behind. Your boundaries may feel like rejection. Your confidence may read as arrogance. But none of this means you need to dim your light. What it does mean is that you must get radically honest about your circle. Who fuels you? Who drains you? Who supports your evolution? And who clings to your past? You are not obligated to maintain every connection just because it's familiar. You are, however, deeply responsible for protecting the energy that fuels your future. That doesn't mean you cut everyone off in pursuit of some cold, hyper-optimized life. It means you get intentional. Maybe you don't spend hours venting with the coworker who sees everything through a lens of victimhood. Maybe you stop asking your risk-averse cousin for advice on your bold new business idea. Maybe you start seeking out conversations that stretch you, challenge you, invite you to rise. This might feel awkward at first, even painful, but consider this. If you're the only one in your circle growing, your circle is too small. If you are always the one pouring into others, eventually, you'll run dry. Relationships should be reciprocal, not transactional. When you start choosing connection over comfort, alignment over obligation, and energy over history, you don't just change your environment, you change what's possible for your entire life. Redesigning your physical and digital environments. Just as people shape your mindset, so does your environment, and most of us underestimate just how much our surroundings influence our thoughts, habits, and focus. Your external space reflects your internal state, and vice versa. If your physical environment is chaotic, cluttered, or uninspiring, it becomes harder to think clearly, feel motivated, or stay aligned. Energy flows where attention goes, and your environment is the first filter your mind processes every single day. You don't need a minimalist mansion or a Pinterest-perfect home to rewire your mind, but you do need to create intentional surroundings that make your growth easier, not harder. Start small. Look around your room, your office, your kitchen. What do you see? Do you have reminders of your goals within eyesight? Or are you constantly surrounded by distractions that pull you away from your highest self? Even simple shifts can create massive momentum. A post-it note with an empowering affirmation, a clean desk that signals clarity, a journal by your bed that nudges you into reflection before sleep. These cues matter more than we realize. They are the silent architects of our daily behavior. When your space reflects the mindset you're building, you spend less energy resisting your environment and more energy flowing with it. And let's not forget your digital environment. We live online as much, if not more, than we do offline. So the question becomes, who are you following? What are you consuming? And how does it make you feel? If your feed is filled with comparison traps, negativity, or fear-based content, your mindset will absorb those energies whether you're conscious of it or not. Curate your digital space like your peace depends on it, because it does. Unfollow what makes you shrink. Mute what drains you. Follow people who inspire you, challenge your thinking, and model the kind of life you're building. Use technology as a tool, not a trap. Set boundaries around screen time. Create digital rituals that anchor you into purpose, like starting your day with gratitude journaling instead of doom scrolling. Remember, your environment should be a launch pad, not a leash. Rewiring your mindset isn't just about what happens in your head. It's about designing a world that makes your new mindset the obvious, easy choice. Protecting your peace without apologizing for. It perhaps one of the most radical acts of self-respect during a mindset upgrade is this: protecting your peace, even when it disappoints others. When you begin saying no to invitations, conversations, and obligations that no longer align, people will notice. Some will support you, others won't understand. They may label you distant, selfish, even arrogant. But here's what you must remember. Every time you protect your peace, you reinforce your new identity. You tell your nervous system, this is what safety looks like now. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to stay aligned with your purpose, your energy, and your truth. This doesn't mean you become rigid, closed off, or inflexible. It means you become discerning. You recognize that not every opinion deserves a seat at your table. You understand that protecting your peace is not the same as avoiding discomfort. It's about choosing the kind of discomfort that serves growth, not the kind that keeps you stuck. So when someone questions your boundaries, you don't over-explain. You don't shrink. You don't abandon your progress to make them more comfortable. You ground yourself. You trust yourself. You stand in the authority of your own evolution. Let's be clear. Protecting your peace might look like saying no to gossip, even if it means feeling left out. It might mean leaving a relationship that was once comforting, but is now constricting. It might mean letting go of roles, titles, or friendships that no longer reflect your truth. This is not easy, but it is essential. Because the version of you who thrives, who lives with clarity, courage, and conviction, cannot exist in an environment where their peace is constantly compromised. The more you honor your energy, the more energy you'll have to pour into your vision. The more you defend your peace, the less you'll need to recover from chaos. This is how you stop reacting to life and start creating it, by choosing yourself over and over, unapologetically. Chapter 14. Stay Upgraded, the Lifelong Mindset Practice. Success is not a destination, it's a daily mindset. There's a moment in every transformation where the journey stops being about becoming someone new and starts being about staying that version of you consistently. That's the moment that separates those who make short-term progress from those who create permanent evolution. It's the moment when the fireworks of change fade, and what remains is the quiet, powerful rhythm of discipline. Because no matter how powerful the breakthrough, no matter how deep the healing, the truth remains. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your patterns. And your patterns are not a one-time shift. They are a daily decision. Staying upgraded is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about meeting yourself where you are each day with radical honesty and unwavering compassion, and recommitting to the version of you that you fought so hard to become. Let go of the myth that mindset work has a finish line. It doesn't. And that's not a flaw. It's a feature. The person you are today is not the person you'll need to be in 6 months, in a year, in 5. Life is going to evolve, and so will you. Challenges will shift, seasons will change, and with each new chapter you'll be invited to upgrade once more. What served you in one season may suffocate you in the next. The beliefs that once fueled your rise may start to cage your expansion. That's why staying upgraded requires a lifelong curiosity, a willingness to keep learning and unlearning, to keep dismantling assumptions and rebuilding truths. If you don't embrace this as a continuous process, you risk becoming a prisoner to your past growth, worshiping the tools that once helped you instead of evolving them into something new. The key is to stay fluid, not fixed, grounded, not rigid, empowered, but never entitled. So how do you do it? How do you stay upgraded when the motivation wears off? When the applause fades? When the people around you aren't clapping anymore? You build systems, not just goals. You create rituals, not just routines. You build your life around the identity you've cultivated so that your environment, your habits, and your self-concept are constantly reinforcing the truth you now live by. You don't wait for external validation. You become your own source of fuel. You stop chasing the next big shift and start honoring the daily discipline of staying aligned. This is how you shift from a mindset moment to a mindset lifestyle. Because real transformation is not something you achieve. It's something you embody over and over again. Daily rituals that anchor. Your identity rituals are not just habits. They are intentional acts that carry emotional significance. They are the anchors that ground you when the winds of self-doubt, distraction, and fear start to pull you off course. Your rituals don't have to be elaborate or time-consuming, but they must be meaningful. Whether it's a morning meditation to reconnect with your vision, a journaling practice that clears mental fog, or an evening walk that helps you reset your energy, rituals provide rhythm. And rhythm is what makes alignment sustainable. Without rhythm, you're relying on willpower, and willpower is a finite resource. But rituals create flow. They give your nervous system something familiar to return to. They reduce decision fatigue. They make the empowered choice the easiest choice, not just the ideal one. One of the most powerful rituals you can build is the daily check-in with yourself. Ask, what energy am I leading with today? What belief is driving my actions right now? Is this version of me aligned with the future I'm building? These questions bring awareness back to the present moment. They remind you that mindset isn't just something you think about during a breakthrough. It's something you practice when no one's watching. Another simple yet transformational ritual is tracking your wins. Every day, write down 3 things you did that honored your growth. They don't have to be big. Maybe you said no when you used to say yes. Maybe you paused before reacting. Maybe you chose the uncomfortable but honest conversation. Over time, these wins compound. They become evidence that you're not just talking about change, you're living it. And that kind of evidence becomes the foundation for lasting confidence. But staying upgraded is not just about morning routines and evening reflections. It's about how you respond when life hits. It's in the 5 seconds after a trigger, the 30 minutes after a failure, the hour after a setback. What do you reach for? Old patterns or new ones? That's why rituals must be both proactive and reactive. They prepare you for the day ahead, but they also catch you when you start to slip. Breath work, movement, grounding exercises, affirmations. These are not just trendy tools. They are lifelines. They bring you back to center. And when you design your life to return to center quickly, you don't fear chaos. You don't spiral into shame. You recover faster, decide wiser, and move with more intention. That's what staying upgraded looks like. Not perfection, but rapid realignment. The 30-day Rewire plan, your challenge to rise to close this chapter and this entire audiobook. I want to leave you with something practical, powerful, and deeply personal. Your 30-day Rewire plan. Because theory without application is just entertainment. This plan isn't about overhauling your life in a frenzy of unrealistic pressure. It's about integrating everything you've learned into a rhythm that actually sticks. The goal isn't to impress anyone. The goal is to build a relationship with yourself that's so strong, so clear, and so intentional that you trust your own power more than any external circumstance. Here's how it works. For the next 30 days, you'll commit to 3 daily actions, 1 mental, 1 emotional, and 1 behavioral. These 3 pillars, thoughts, feelings, actions, are the foundation of every mindset shift you've made so far. And they are the pillars that will carry you forward. Your mental action could be something as simple as 5 minutes of journaling, reading a page of something that inspires you, or visualizing your future self. The key is consistency, not intensity. Your emotional action might involve checking in with your body, naming your feelings, or practicing gratitude even when things feel heavy. And your behavioral action is where things get concrete. Maybe it's making 1 bold move a day, setting a boundary, or choosing discomfort over avoidance. The point isn't what you do, it's who you become by doing it. Track your progress, reflect weekly, adjust as needed. And if you miss a day, no shame, just return. That's what this whole journey has been about, returning to alignment again and again until it becomes second nature. Along the way, don't forget to celebrate, not just the obvious wins, but the subtle ones. The moments you paused instead of panicked, the days you chose courage over convenience, the tiny upgrades that no one else sees, but you feel deep in your bones. Let those moments matter. Let them remind you that you are no longer living by default. You're living by design, and that design is being shaped daily, not by what happens to you, but by how you choose to meet it. That's the real rewire, not the flashy shift, not the dramatic leap, but the quiet, courageous choice to keep showing up, keep believing, and keep becoming. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one mindset